If you told the Raiders that they had just selected a future Defensive Player of the Year candidate exiting the 2019 NFL Draft, they probably wouldn't be too surprised, considering they had 3 first-round picks, using 2 of them to select defensive end Clelin Ferrell 4th overall and safety Jonathan Abram 27th. They might be a bit taken aback, however, to learn that it has been their 4th rounder Maxx Crosby from Eastern Michigan who has dominated opposing offenses so thoroughly. That said, it didn't take long for Crosby to show that he had the potential to be something special, as he opened his coach's eyes by always being around the ball from the very first day of his rookie training camp. Over his first 2 seasons, Crosby made plenty of splash plays, leading the team in sacks both years with 10 and 7 respectively, but it was clear he was just scratching the surface. His relentless motor was his calling card, but now this year, he has added a ton of moves to his repertoire, and thus has taken his game to new heights. Maxx Crosby has finally become an elite all-around edge defender, and is firmly in the mix for Defensive Player of the Year. Now, there have been quite a few defensive players balling out thus far this season, so I can't necessarily go out and say Crosby should win the award outright. Myles Garrett is probably the favorite right now, though there's still a lot of ball left to be played, and many others have sterling cases of their own. However, my gripe comes in the fact that Crosby has largely been left out of the conversation entirely. As I said before, you really can't go wrong with your pick, as Garrett, Crosby, Aaron Donald, Cameron Hayward, TJ Watt, Trevon Diggs, and Kevin Byard are all worthwhile DPOYs. But then you have the official NFL Twitter account including Bobby Wagner, PFF's 10th highest graded linebacker this season, as a candidate with no Crosby in sight. And that's where Raiders fans claiming everyone hates their team no longer look so crazy. Maxx Crosby has indeed been overlooked this season, and it's time he gets the respect he deserves. Crosby began building his DPOY case immediately as the 2021 NFL season kicked off. Against Baltimore on Monday night, he put together one of the most complete pass rushing games you'll see in a long time. Not only did he register 2 sacks, but he also racked up a whopping 13 pressures, leading to a monster 93.0 PFF grade. Now, of course, you could call that a fluke because of the Ravens' historically bad tackle play. That is, until Crosby nearly replicated the performance in Week 6 versus Denver, when he had his hands in 5 sacks, 4 being half sacks and 1 a whole sack. There have only been 3 games this season where a player compiled 12 or more pressures, and 2 of them belonged to Crosby. Before this season, Crosby had never compiled more than 8 pressures in a single game. And he's been consistent outside of those monster games too. Through 8 weeks, he already has 5 games this year with 5 or more pressures. He did so in just 4 of 16 games last year, and in 3 of 16 the previous season. As such, he predictably leads all defenders with a whopping 50 pressures this season, which is already a career high. Officially, Crosby only has 5 sacks this season, which ranks 25th in the league. But this is a reminder that sacks never tell the full story for a pass rusher. In addition to leading the league in total pressures, Crosby also has the most hurries and the most QB hits as well. He is also second only to Myles Garrett in terms of pass rush win rate. Pro Football Focus has a metric called pass rush productivity that combines sacks, hits, and hurries relative to how many times a player rushes the passer, and Crosby has the 3rd best mark among edge defenders. And in terms of their play-by-play film grading, PFF also gives Crosby the 2nd best pass rush grade in the NFL. So even though the sacks aren't there, Crosby has proven to be one of the most ferocious pass rushers in the NFL regardless this season. He's one of the best at getting to the quarterback, and the sack regression is bound to hit sooner or later. All in all, Crosby is just 0.4 points behind Garrett for the best overall grade among edge defenders, and he's within a point of being the top overall defender in the NFL, as he is one of just 5 players with a PFF grade of 90 or better. That alone should have him firmly in the DPOY race. As I alluded to earlier, the main argument given against Crosby this season has been that he has feasted on bad tackles, which isn't entirely wrong. However, you can't control who you play, and offensive line play as a whole has diminished in recent years, with more and more athletes choosing to play on the other side of the ball, so there simply aren't as many elite tackles as there used to be. Additionally, it is worth pointing out that Crosby has fared well in his few opportunities against good tackles. He had the Eagles' Lane Johnson doing full 360s attempting and failing to block him. Johnson's pass blocking PFF grade that game was his second worst of the season and nearly 10 full points lower than his season average. Crosby has been able to produce at such a consistent level this season because he's able to win in any way, whether it's through strict power, speed, fakes, or hand-fighting techniques. Hence why his pass rush grade has jumped from marks in the 50s and 60s to a 91. But an underrated part of where Crosby has improved his play this season is in the run game. There, he has also improved his PFF grade by nearly 20 whole points. The Giants tried to block Crosby with an extra lineman as they pulled the right tackle and center, but he easily beat him off the snap before bouncing off of the pulling center to make a big stop in the backfield. Crosby has also been one of the few players able to slow down Lamar Jackson this season. Watch this instinctive play. The Ravens are running a power read, and Crosby is coming in unblocked. He gives the subtlest fake outside towards the back to make Lamar keep the ball before coming back inside to make the tackle behind the line of scrimmage. It remains to be seen if Crosby can keep up this high level of play all season, especially when the Raiders start facing better competition on the O-line. But I'd put my money on him being here to stay. He might not have double-digit pressure games every other week, but he brings consistent heat against the QB, and he has also become a force against the run. If the NFL had a Most Improved Player of the Year award, Crosby would likely be the front-runner, and honestly, his play should come as no real surprise. Crosby is now 20 months sober after entering rehab just before the COVID-19 pandemic began in spring 2020. He told ESPN in August that he was in the best shape of his life and expected to have a huge season, which a lot of players say in training camp, but for Crosby, it was meaningful for obvious reasons. He said he used to be able to just skate by at times, but now he has never been more dedicated to getting better day in and day out. On and off the field, that dedication has shown itself very clearly for Maxx Crosby this year. From here, the sky is the limit.